Alright, this should be a video where I don't have to talk a lot. Yay! That was rude. Anyways. This is a video for African Diaspora Content. So I'm going to tell you all the people that you need to be following, all the YouTube channels that you need to check in with all the time to get the best content for the African Diaspora. Alright, let's start with some like news type of content. And I'm just going to show you like small clips of some of the people that I mentioned. PanAfrican Daily TV, great, keeps you connected with all things African Diaspora, including spirituality. Love it. Here's a quick clip.
I love you so much. You love me so much. We love ourselves so much. So what do we lack? Why are we crying? What is it that we already have the Ubuntu-ness in us? We already have that love. Why are you going to places to look for love that you already have?
I've already mentioned a lot of the spiritual ones that I recommend, from Robert Headley to Nubia Path of Return to Johnny John. One of my favorite spiritual person is Joshua Maponga. I believe his channel is called Make Africa Great. I'll put a clip from him right here.
The Bible contains the word of God, but the one who has interfered with the text now has the intention with the text. The one who has edited the text, they have the intention, that edition. So you can no longer say you have received the message from your father in its purity. But yes, you have received a letter from your father, but it is now contaminated. So what if it is now giving you wrong directions as to where your inheritance is? Because the one who was carrying the letter decided to move. Now, how would you find slaves obey your masters? All these Roman laws that are actually being kept in the text, and they're supposed to be read as Bible verses. You know, slaves, obey your masters as you obey Jesus.
But that is where we are now, Maponga. How do we fix this? This is where we are. We are with this book that has been edited. We are told that it is supposed to give us...
Did you watch this program called The Weakest Link?
I used to watch it.
You watch The Weakest Link? Our weakest link right now are our academic professional pastors. Ask me why. They have become the custodians of the rotten system, because now they're the beneficiaries on top of the program. They cannot change it because their retirements are now included in those lies.
He's probably going to get a whole video on his own, just so you guys can really, if you're not up on this brother, you really need to be up on this brother. Real activist, really trying to unite us and wake us up. So I respect that. Everyone always tells me like you should mention Truth Unveiled 777, I believe their hashtag is, but their videos are like encrypted and hard to find. I get sent them because a lot of my followers want me to promote them, so I'll show you a clip of a Truth Unveiled video.
When it comes to the Garden of Eden and where the real Garden of Eden is located, along with the 4 rivers of Eden today and where they potentially are, here we are in Brashith, or Genesis chapter 2, verses 10 through 14, that reads, "And a river went out of Adon, or Eden, to water the garden, and from there it divided and became 4 river heads." So this first part is important because it tells us that it first started as a river, but then it divides into 4 parts. And do we see that somewhere? Well, let's keep going, because then it goes on to say, and we're going to be using the names in the ancient Yahudian language, but the name of the first is Payashun, or commonly known as Pishon today. It is the one surrounding the entire land of Kuyala, commonly known as Havilah today, where there is gold. Keep this in mind, gold. So that's the first river location. And then it says, "And the gold of that land is good. Bdellium is there, and the Shohem stone. And the name of the second river is Gayakun, or Gihon. It is the one surrounding the entire land of Cush." Kush. Now, some translations today read Ethiopia, and we're going to be talking about that when we go over this river. But verse 14 goes on to say, and the name of the third river is Karakal. Now, some translations today read the Tigris, and then it is the one which goes toward the east of Ashashur. Now, remember that in mind, and please keep this in mind as we go over this documentary today, east of Ashashur, because this is going to become very handy as we've talked about in our ancient Assyria video that was done on this a long time ago. And then what? The fourth river is the Euphrates, as it's commonly known today. In the Yahudiyath, it was called Paratha. That we have some context on what we just read, now we're going to go over and see exactly where these four rivers could be today, and also where they once connected. Because as we've gone over in the documentary, we've discussed this map that's well over 600 years old, and we're going to discuss it once again today in this documentary for context purposes, because it says in 1411, a Venetian cartographer by the name of Albertinus de Verga designed this very important map of Africa. Now again, this map is well over 600 years old. It comes from 1411, and we've gone over it in the documentary, but once again, we're focusing on it today because this map is key in helping us find the four rivers of Eden today. But you may be wondering why this map is so important. Look again. Because what you will see depicted on this map is the Garden of Eden at the southernmost tip of Africa, with the symbol of two concentric rings from which emerge the four rivers that are mentioned in Brashith, or Genesis chapter 2, what we just read a little bit earlier ago. So here is that actual depiction right here with the concentric rings, and here are the four rivers that emerge out of it right here all throughout the land of Africa as it's commonly known today.
It's going to be hard for you guys to find their videos. Those are like the first round of videos, but for like travel and just like to get to know the continent, I'm going to start doing a lot of more African travel research videos. I did one on Saint Tome right here. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely watch it. I'm going to do a lot more cities, a lot more countries, because that actually was partially the goal for this channel. It just spun off into different avenues. But the people who I suggest you follow, if you're not following, my number one, my favorite, Wode Maya. Here's a clip from Wode Maya.
If you ever watch my first episode on Namibia, I stated vividly that Namibia is Africa's most underrated country. You know why I said that? Because Namibia is not what I expected. The untapped natural beauty, the cleanliness of the cities of Namibia,